Hi, everybody, and welcome to the KubeStellar Community Meeting. Today is April 4th, 2024, and I'm happy to see all of you. Hopefully, we'll get some spring weather soon. This is incredibly cold and rainy out here. And for those of you that live in a region where it is nice outside, I'm jealous. So, welcome, everybody. We are a proud member of the CNCF Sandbox Project program. And as such, we abide by a contributor code of conduct. If you bear with me, I'll read it here. As contributors and maintainers in the CNCF community and in the interest of fostering an open and welcoming committee, we pledge to respect all people who contribute through reporting issues, posting feature requests, updating documentation, submitting pull requests or patches, and other activities. We are committed to making participation in the CNCF community a harassment-free experience for everyone, regardless of level of experience, gender identity and expression, sexual orientation, disability, personal appearance, body size, race, ethnicity, age, religion, or nationality. Basically, folks, just please be nice to each other. We're in a public forum. Yes, and reminder, you're in a public forum. This is being recorded. It will be posted on our YouTube channel at kubestellar.io/TV. If you wish not to be recorded visually, please turn off your camera. If you choose not to have your audio recorded also, then please just log off the meeting. All right. Thank you all for your attendance. Some new folks out in the audience. I'll pause here if anybody would like to introduce themselves. If not, we can carry on.
Yeah, hi everyone. I'll jump in very briefly. Ian O'Toole. I'm down here in Orlando, Florida, where the weather is pretty nice. I'm sorry to report. I'm working with Andy on an upcoming hackathon on KubeStellar. Happy to be here. Thanks.
Thanks, Professor. Khan, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hello, everyone. I'm Kang TC from PipeCD project. We are another CNC sandbox, and
You're breaking up badly.
So we talk a lot about how to make it working together. So I'm popping up today to just bringing out some PipeCD information so that the KubeStellar community can understand the project, and maybe we can just have some kind of roadmap that what can we do with the collaboration between the both project. So yes, please. I'm really happy to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, Khan, we're tremendously happy that you're here too. Thank you so much for joining the call. So just as a matter of background, Khan and I met on the show floor on the first night of KubeCon EU, and he is part of a project called PipeCD, and that project is looking to normalize the interface between all the other continuous delivery projects that are out there. So you can think about exposing commonalities between things like Argo and Flux, things like, rollout and registering projects to be deployed, deployment targets, etc., and normalizing that. And I had thought that maybe it might be interesting for us to work together instead of necessarily maybe as an initial step, not to work, maybe to work with PipeCD as well as work with Argo and Flux as we do today in interacting with deployment mechanisms. But also the potential is there, maybe they might want to look into what it would take to do some kind of transport plugin. So anyway, without further ado, we have a bunch of things on the list. I have something coming up this weekend, so I'll show the agenda real quick. I wanted to just share that with you. Let's see if I can get that on the screen. All right, here we go with this. Bookmarks high. Okay, so what this coming weekend, big event, we've got our first ever hackathon. The folks from Valencia College in Miami, Professor O'Toole is representing them today on the call, will be participating in this hackathon. We'll be starting off with an in-office or an on-campus working session tomorrow afternoon. We'll get everybody on the same page, and the hackathon will carry on throughout the weekend, culminating on Sunday at 12 p.m. Eastern Time. We have two different categories or two different types of contributions that the hackathon will focus on. First is community contribution. So they'll be working on a contributing.md. That is, if you could look at porter.io, I believe, has a very good model for one. and I've been working with the folks at Porter and at Red Hat. Josh Burkus, who is in charge of all things open source there at Red Hat, how to build communities. And one of the things that he recognized at KubeStellar is that our contributing.md could use some help. And so I'm targeting that, and you'll see some results hopefully at the end of this weekend. We will be using MK Docs as an underlying technology. So the idea is to mount that on the community repo so as not to interfere with the main repo for KubeStellar. So that's one area of contribution, and a lot of the folks there have very creative minds at Valencia in these programs. We'll be working with everybody from high school on up through grad seminar status. It's pretty cool. We'll have 11 folks joining joining the hackathon this weekend. We'll have 3 different teams. One will focus on community. The other 2 will focus on a coding challenge. The coding challenge is centered around labeler. If you go to Club Anderson /hackathon-labeler in GitHub, you'll see the information there. I've also put some errata and information logistics about the project inside of our KubeStellar folder on Google Docs in the artifacts, so you can also take a look there. I'll add all this information that I just mentioned here on this agenda after the PipeCD presentation gets underway. New and notable, just please, if you're planning on attending KubeCon North America, please go ahead and reserve a hotel room. There's already information on the site about how to do that. The hotels do sell out, especially in North America. There's a lot of draw on them, so I'd highly recommend you do that. Also, there's a KubeDay in Israel, and there's a KubeDay in Japan. So I've reached out to some folks in in Japan to see if they'd be interested in presenting on our behalf, and they are. And I'd say the same. I think there is a KubeDay Israel, but I'm not 100% sure. So Ezra and team, if you're interested in presenting and collaborating there, please feel free to reach out and ask for any guidance. Okay, and next up on the agenda, we have PipeCD. So Khan, do you want to present what it is, as a demonstration of what PipeCD is? And then maybe we'll get some questions from the audience as to how we can continue to work together going forward.
Okay. Let me share screen. Okay.
Yeah, please.
Wait a minute. I think this file. You guys see my Chrome
Yes.
window? Okay, cool. Okay, so this is the PipeCD UI, and I think I will just popping out what can exactly PipeCD can do first, and after that the overview about the architecture. So for the UI, we have some kind of application list like this, and from this thing you can see that currently PipeCD do the CD for 5 kind of application is Kubernetes, Terraform, Lambda, Cloud Run, and ECS. And the point to note is everything is remain the same for different kind of application. So for instance, it is the simple UI for application detail for Kubernetes, while this one is the application detail for the Cloud Run. And the point is going on when we go for the deployment. It is a simple deployment for Kubernetes application if you're using PipeCD. And basically is built, a pipeline is built from multiple states. Each state can be clicking around, and you see how it's actually working here. And I will show you how we use the configuration for PipeCD. Basically, we have a manifest for Kubernetes application, just as the other things. We only need to install the PipeCD agent, PipeCD controller, and we need this file as application configuration. And we see here is the pipeline definition for PipeCD. Each state here is predefined state with customizable flag that user can actually use, and they can freely to mix in some kind of state to build up the pipeline, say is wait or wait approver or script run analyst, which basically is the state that you can connect to some kind of service, metric service like Prometheus or Datadog, and you query some things, and if something get wrong, you can roll back automatically. And the nice point is I showed you before that we have the same UI interface for Kubernetes and the other application guide as well. So this is the Cloud Run example for deployment, and the deployment pipeline just UI the same is the same, and the configuration is the same as well. We have here is one Cloud Run application. If you use Cloud Run already, is GCP Cloud Run. We have to define the service jump just like normal, and we need that PipeCD application manifest file. This is the pipeline state definition for PipeCD, and you can see here that this is the predefined state for the current application. This one is wait approval. If you remember the previous one, which is analyst, and the first one I show you is the wait. This kind of state is common used for cross application guide. So for PipeCD, pipeline is being built by predefined state, and you can mix it in and build whatever CD pipeline for your application guide if the PipeCD support that. And I will show you a bit about the PipeCD architecture. Okay, so okay, so just before we go into the architecture, anything else do you want to ask about the UI things or configuration one? Is okay?
Yeah, so I'm so here I see the manifest of the deployment and the service. And so, but I think you also have, is that where you, is that the artifacts that you take in is the raw Kubernetes object definitions?
Yes.
Or can you also work with remotes like let's say a location or a URL for a Git repository that holds the deployment and the service?
Sorry, I not.
So yeah,
Thinking.
instead of going directly, instead of having deployment and service directly in the repository here, then you
Yes.
also have a pointer to another repository that has the deployment and service in it. So a reference
Okay.
rather than having the actual file.
Okay, I get your point. I'm not sure the use case of
Okay.
the point you just asking, but for the PipeCD, one group of file like this called application. So for the normal use case, you have to place the configuration file just the same with the manifest file.
Okay.
Okay. So the PipeCD agent will watch your repo. I mean your manifest repo like this, and okay, I think I missed that part. Okay, so for instance, when from the starting page, when you want to create a new application, you click here and you choose the application. You choose the PipeCD, which is the agent that we have, and PipeCD has configured which application guide it can handle, and from the list you get here, this one is basically watch automatically by PipeCD, because the PipeCD configuration has that kind of what can I say? We config what repo would be watched by the PipeCD, and the PipeCD will pulling it intervally and see which possible application could be handled by PipeCD, and it's listed up here. And whenever you click up here and you click save, it will create an application here, and one application is the group of manifest and text file. So in order PipeCD to enable PipeCD to automatically read every application in your manifest repo, you have to place this file aside with the manifest of your application. So basically, in PipeCD use case, you have to place the same place, not pointing to somewhere deployment object. So it's okay.
Good for me.
Cool. So I will go next for the overview. So basically in PipeCD system architecture, we have one centric control plane, which say if you are a company, organization, we have only one control plane when we share across the organization, and every team has to install the PipeCD agent to their cluster. It's not just it's not the only way to use the PipeCD, but it's recommend to install the PipeCD inside the cluster so that you don't need to share the client or outside the cluster. But one PipeCD can be set to connect to the other cluster as well. So basically, the developer team will have full control of how and where to install the PipeCD agent, and each team has different one or multi PipeCD agent we connect to the centric control plane, and everything is pooling model only. So the developer team can private their infrastructure from the sharing things, which is good for organizations that have multiple teams which do not want to share anything in between. So we have some concept here. One is
So Con, can I interrupt you again?
yes.
Okay. So you have PipeCD is so I'm talking about your agent now on the cluster A, B, and C. So you have PipeCD, which interacts with Kubernetes and Git. So PipeCD is actually looking at the repository to look for that look for PipeCD's app definition. Is
Yes.
that correct? So okay, so that's how it recognizes. So what's the on cluster C with Terraform, AWS? What are those? What's the are you looking what are you looking at? Are you looking at those as deployment targets, or are you looking at Terraform as like YAML that you're pulling in, or what do those represent?
It means that this PipeCD agent is connect to, it's watching the manifest on Git as you see on every different cluster, and on the other hand is apply the manifest to the cluster, and it's not just apply, but it's also watching the live state as you see. So basically, PipeCD have something like this. You can see that it's showing that it's out of sync, which means that there is something different between the in cluster and the manifest representation. So it's showing here. So if you see something like this and you want to trigger to ensure that it's be the same, then you just clicking here. So that is the point of this URL and this URL. And this is the same for this one and this one. I think I have an example for the Terraform as well. Yes, wait a minute. Okay, Terraform. Where is my Terraform? Oh, everything is synced. Okay, so yes, but basically it's just like that. It's watching the Terraform's manifest and the Terraform last apply, and if anything different between those is we're showing as div. So you can mention that.
Okay.
Okay, so I think that could be everything I can share in here. Everything else could be fine on the doc.
Okay.
By c.dev.
So
Okay.
how do you integrate with Argo and Flux, or if at all? So how do you work with Argo and how do you work with Flux?
Yes. Basically, we are planning to, we have a plan to working with Flux team because as I mentioned, we have the PipeCD as the applier for Kubernetes and other applications as well. But the point is for the Kubernetes one, we basically use a kubectl as the applier. We use helm, we use kustomize as a manifest templating tool. And after that, the PipeCD agent use kubectl apply update to apply the chain to the cluster. So we think that it's okay to have a kind of plugin with basically not using the kubectl, but use Flux or Algo as the applier for the PipeCD agent. So we in the middle of making the PipeCD architecture as plug-enable, so that we can focusing on the pipeline part, and every apply part would be the other, like FluxCD. And I talked to the FluxCD maintainer on the KubeCon EU as well, and we have some discussion around that, and we are planning to do that later this month, I guess, because we still in the middle of making PipeCD plug-enable. So yeah, everything go after that, I guess.
Okay, so so something about KubeStellar that not everybody knows but should know is that we use the native kubectl, helm, and kustomize interface. So it's something that you don't even have to change your PipeCD to do anything differently than it does now. And you can simply apply, and KubeStellar will take care of the deployment
Yes.
to remote sites. So would that be something you think that would be of interest that we would work together on?
Yes. I just remember the part you said, and I'm trying to expand the KubeStellar documentation, and I'm really sorry to asking this, but when I'm going around with I mean where to start and where can I actually use the KubeStellar in Leaf, I get some error like this. So I think it's not stable for something. So could be possible if you can send me some, what can I say, the guideline for actually using the KubeStellar, and how can I actually make plug in for the KubeStellar as
What
you
can you
said.
click on the release
I
button
think-
there on next to KubeStellar first, Con? Can you go
Yeah,
back to
but
the
I think we probably if you can share again your screen.
Yes.
Yeah.
click
So
on
first of all,
the point, yeah, the release change up at the top, all the way to the top, all the way to the top, release,
Okay.
and that's all the way to
Okay.
the top. Is this the latest? I don't think so.
No, 0.20, the latest is
There it is.
21.2, yeah, but that's not the main point. I think that what you should go is on the overview, look on the overview tab. No, on the tabs.
On the tab. Where is the tab?
Overview.
Overview. Okay.
Yeah. So you should go through that, especially the architecture and the architecture. You see the architecture.
Well, he wants to install, and that's what
Yeah,
he's having a problem
I
with.
understand, but I want to emphasize what is accurate. So the architecture is completely up to date with what we have. So you make sure that you read everything here, because all the points that Andy mentioned are here. You see exactly what is the plugin, how we use it, and so on. Regarding working, what we have today is if you go to Getting Started tab.
Okay. Where is
To the
storage?
top. Back to the top.
To the
All the
top.
way to the top of the page.
Yeah.
No, left. All the way to the top of the page, and you'll see.
Yeah.
There you go. Getting started.
Getting Started on the top.
Tabs across the top
Next to overview, Con.
in the blue.
Next, getting started. Okay.
Yeah. So you should go to the examples.
Example, okay.
Yeah, not to the computer. And in the examples, all examples should work, but you should start from, especially from example 1. If you go down, you
Okay.
have all the
Example 1.
prerequisites.
Okay.
You have all the prerequisite and scenario 1, which is the typical one of multi-cluster workload deployment, how you deploy stuff to here. It's couple of weeks, and all the prerequisite, everything should work, because this is also being, we can point you to offline, you know, through Slack or whatever, through the KubeStellar Slack. We have tests that you can run. We are running them periodically. You can even go ahead and run them. We have a shell-based test that actually perform all of that. So you can also look on the shell script to see what exactly we are running, but all the steps that you see here should run, should work.
That's right. His problem was is that
Okay.
the examples page wasn't showing up. So can you show us where that dead link was again, Con? So
I
we
think he
know.
was going to the contribution, and in the contribution we have like third party, which is not, I think, up to date. In the he was going to get the contribution.
No, it was worse than that. But please
No.
open an issue. Just please just open an issue to inform us.
Okay, for sure. And I think I got some, I mean, link that leads to nowhere, so it's a little
Hold on,
bit
stop there.
getting
Let me take a picture of this. I don't
Okay.
need you to open an issue.
No,
I
the
just need to know
previous
what it
one.
was. Yeah.
Okay.
Go back one. Show me where it was.
Show us that error message with the unicorn.
Not sure. I can't remember that, but
You just
basically,
had-
as far as
Yeah,
I remember, when
I think, Mike, I think it's around the
getting from here
it's around the
and go for the
contribution.
documentation and
Okay.
Yeah, it's around the contributing.
I
think
guess
we've
I clicking here. No. Okay.
All right, Con. So
Again,
when you
I
find
think
it, send me a
on the
picture of it, and I'll
contributing.
I'll make sure it
Yes,
gets.
yes. I will follow up later, but I
Thank you.
think every time I go in here, it's supposed to pop up the latest one, not the main one, right?
Andy, you do have a recording of this meeting in progress, right?
Yeah, that's true too.
We're done.
Thanks. Yep, good. Okay, Con, good. This looks good. So yeah, are you on our Slack channel?
Yes. And also I want, if possible, please send me again for the report you sent me about example to create the KubeStellar plugin. You just show me on the KubeCon EU, just I'm not remember, so I'm trying to find around your
Yeah, if you go to
organization, I'm not finding out.
go to where is it here? OCM transport plugin on the bottom right there. Click on that. And that's the Go file in there. Well, this is how this one in particular was created. So what I think we can do is we can crawl first, which is, let's see if we can get you to deliver using PipeCD to KubeStellar, right? So if you set up your KubeStellar environment, we have a working document for that. So try to go through that end to end, and then you'll see how you can use PipeCD to deliver directly to it. And then we can start talking about what it would take to do some kind of transport plugin potentially, because if you're going to be normalizing the interfaces for Argo and Flux at some point, or at least aggregating them, it might be useful. But let's start with the deployment first.
Okay. So in the best, what can I say? Output, I can imagine that if I have KubeStellar, then when I use PipeCD as the deployment, I mean as the CD, when I apply for the, when I use kubectl to apply my manifest to the cluster, KubeStellar will bring it to the right cluster for
Correct,
the
the
multi
remotes.
cluster use case, right?
That's correct.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
So okay, so for that kind of output, I guess maybe I just need to install the KubeStellar to my multi-cluster Kubernetes environment. Then it's going to be work with PipeCD as well. so do
Right.
not need to do anything especially. So I mean, maybe I can try. I mean, what can I say? Installing the KubeStellar on my testing environment first, and I mean, trying to apply. I mean, just do the same for single cluster, but apply for multi-cluster. Then writing
Correct.
some looking out, something like that. Even if
Yeah, correct. Yep. So the
I
same
guess.
procedure that you would use for single cluster, you would use for multi-cluster. You
Okay.
just we use labels primarily and to target those individual clusters. And so long as they're labeled properly in your inventory, you'll be able to deliver to them. But I think it should be pretty straightforward now that the web page is working for you.
Okay. So yeah, I think
Sorry
I
about that.
start with the getting started and trying to install that to my cluster.
Okay.
I mean,
very good.
I do that a few times, but I'm not getting through. It's a little bit, I mean, messed in your documentation. So okay,
Yeah, well,
so I will
we're
check that.
open to all your feedback, Con, because it's important that we make our documentation easy for people to consume. So if you
Yeah,
think
I
there are
know
things in
that.
the wrong
I'm
place, let
talking
us
to the
know.
CNCF tech writer as well to making the documentation better for the newcomer. And they said that it's happened all the time. The maintainer understand everything, but the newcomer don't understand anything. So yeah, that was the point. Also, I
So
just a little bit not really related to PipeCD, but you guys to be, I mean, have a plan to pop up on the KubeDay in Japan.
yes, yeah, absolutely we do. We have a person who's on staff here. His name's Yana, and I reached out to him and asked him if he would be at the show, so I can connect him with you. You
Okay.
can find him also in our Slack channel.
Okay, cool. We have a member in Japan. Basically, we are a Japan company. So if you pop out in KubeDay, for sure, just ping us. We will
Okay.
be there also.
All right, so
So
I'm going to connect you guys now inside of the KubeStellar Dev community. So let's see if let's see if I
I
have
think
you.
I'm in the Slack as
Yes.
well. So you can ping
Yep.
me there.
Yep, I got you both here. So I'm going to send a message to connect you both, and see if you can connect, and see if you can connect to on in KubeDay in Japan, or at least your colleague can, and we'll go
Okay.
from there. But in the meantime, use that Slack channel to interact with me directly or anybody that you see on this screen. We're happy to help you get up off the ground and started. We've all started fresh with KubeStellar at one point or another and have worked through, either difficulties or challenges. And we've made consideration for that in our doc to get people around it. But that doesn't mean that it's perfect. It's not. So anything that you can give us in terms of issues or suggestions on how to improve that that onboarding experience is like gold for us. Like we really would appreciate it.
Okay, for sure. We appreciate as well.
Yeah.
So I've been trying to install that, and whenever problem happen, I will ping you. Thank you.
Yeah, don't wait, don't hesitate. We watch the channel. We're active
For sure.
members on it, okay? Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Con, for attending. I appreciate it. I appreciate it's late there, isn't it? What time is it where you are?
It's sooner for my expectation. I thought that it's gonna be 11 at midnight, but it's not. It's 9 p.m. So it's still
Oh, good.
early, I
All right.
guess.
That's a little bit better. All
Yeah.
right, great. Thank you, Con. Any questions for Con, or Con, do you have any questions for us?
No, thank you. I will ping you on Slack when I have question.
Okay. All right. Okay, so let's get the agenda back up and move on. Share. Okay. So we have, thank you very much, Con, for that introduction to PipeCD. The hackathon, I just listed the links to get logistics and the curriculum guide if you're interested in knowing more. I've posted 2 new blog posts on Canary and Blue-Green deployments, one which failed miserably and the other one which worked. So if you're interested in seeing how blue-green deployments work using KubeStellar, please have a look. KubeCon North America, I mentioned there's a couple of different ideas for CFPs. This Interns for Open Source program, Valencia is participating in, as well as we have others from Georgia Tech, Marist, and Rensselaer, RPI. And we should have pretty active summer this summer. I think at least 3 folks from Valencia are planning to attend over the course of the summer, and I think we have a couple from Georgia Tech as well. We also have integration for KFP, which is making its way through issues and PRs. So there is instructions on how to do this internally, but we are working to make changes to KubeStellar to support it formally. We'll also probably have an update to our digital agriculture poster, and I'm looking for 2 more talks on this. Okay. So hopefully we get some more ideas about what to fill in there. If anybody here has ideas on what we could talk about in a poster session, please feel free to add that here. Okay, so now we'll turn it over to development. Ezra, why don't you give us an update as to where you are?
So I think we wrote everything is an agenda. So we just released 21.2. This is mainly was a fix. It's kind of almost identical, few different PRs, but in terms of main features, very similar to 21.1. The reason I'm mentioning that is that 21.1 was had actually an installation blocker issue that we didn't catch in our testing, and we since then update our testing to actually test the releases as well on the same tests, and we validated. So 21.2 fixed all of that. It's relatively stable. That's the latest release. We plan at this point to continue releasing in relatively high frequency, probably minor releases, because there are still issues and bugs that we encounter in we are trying a lot of integrations into other project use cases and so on. So we are getting not just bugs, but also feature requests and gaps. So we prefer to address that as soon as possible. So we expect to have like every 2 to 3 weeks to have a new release. However, we do not expect, as I say, as it says here, we are still focusing on first closing all the actual bugs. So the main big features we expect to have only around 1 to 2 for each release. Our next big feature or major feature is customization, and this allows you to more accurately, it's parameter expansion. This will allows you to when you deploy to multiple WECs and you want each deployment on each WEC to be a little bit different and maybe get some parameters that are related to that WEC specifically. For example, the WEC name, right? You want to embed that in your deployment YAML or something like that. So we will enable that. So you will be able to customize your deployments when you deploy to multiple WECs. And that's basically it. A word on testing. As we mentioned before, currently, and we will update, I think that one of the also messages we got about the simplicity of our website. It needs to be very clear where a new user should start the site and what is working and what he should start with. So currently we have 2 main examples that demonstrate the capabilities of KubeStellar. Those examples are also run on a regular basis through our CI/CD on each PR and on each release. You can also run it manually. In addition to the integration test and unit test, we have those examples. Everything is documented. So that's the main testing kind of cycle we have. And the last comment is about performance testing. We are also doing some, we want to introduce performance testing, especially between releases, because some of the features, on some new features, we are doing some redesigns in the internal implementation. This may impact performance. In performance, we are talking about latency, number of objects you can deploy, bandwidth, and so on. And so Braulio is conducting some performance testing. We want to also include some simple performance test into the CI/CD depending on the stability. Currently, our CI/CD is running on GitHub servers, which we cannot guarantee performance, so we'll see how to do that. So that's the quick update about the other points of decoupling and Helm chart. Those are, you can look on the KubeStellar issues. Maybe Andy, you can even maybe go to that on the web you're presenting.
Where are we at here? Issues. Yep.
Yeah, issues. So if you touch the the label of major feature, here you can just click it on the major issue here. Yeah. So those are some major features we are planning to slowly introduce into KubeStellar. And I mentioned that because one of the items in the agenda was, for example, the relation and maybe possible decoupling of KubeFlex and KubeStellar. And for example, another one is the ability to install all KubeStellar components through a single helm and so on. So you can find those major features here. Feel free to comment and add your thoughts and so on. So with that, I finished the update. That's the
Thank you, Ezra.
update.
Okay, let's move on. You want to give us an update, Franco, as to where you are on the Uber Helm?
Sure. So as discussed in the last meeting, we prepared a modification of the KubeStellar Helm chart. I'm sorry, the KubeFlex Helm chart that would enable the automatic creation of contour planes in the intention of enabling most of the common setup steps. However, after reviewing with the team, we thought was decided that was not necessarily a good idea and to keep the KubeFlex chart simple. So I'm doing some small work on the many Helm charts for each of the components of KubeStellar, and also planning for a KubeStellar deployment Helm chart. Perhaps you can give me a suggestion on the names. I was thinking KubeStellar Hub or KubeStellar Core or something like that, that would basically install all the components in a single Helm chart. I'm submitting small PRs, as I mentioned, to the other Helm chart to simplify this process, and it may take a little bit of time, but perhaps we should. I haven't opened a specific issue for it yet. I think in the repo, but maybe we should open that issue first.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, anybody else with any other items you want to talk about today on the call? June?
Yes. I think in the past few weeks, the stuff I was working on is kind of interesting. So I'd like to share it here. It is actually part of the campaign to solve the existing bugs in KubeStellar. I worked on a few related bugs, which are all about the client throttling when we work with some special clusters. The clusters were special in the sense that there were a large number of resources in them. For example, because of hundreds of CRDs in an OpenShift cluster. And also another reason making it special is that those clusters, because of the older version, they are using actually the legacy discovery instead of the newer aggregated discovery. Because of this, when we run KubeStellar against the cluster, the controllers will start very slowly or not even successfully started because of timeouts. I did a series of optimizations to handle that. Basically two categories of things. One thing, the first category is to tune the rate limiters of the controller's clients so that it adapts to the number of resources in the cluster. The second category of optimization is try to optimize the discoveries in the controllers. We actually have several different kind of discoveries. For example, when we apply KubeStellar CRDs, or when we handle CRD objects in the clusters, or when we fetch the kube configs for the spaces. So what we do is to actually three things. We do three things to optimize. One thing is to remove unnecessary discoveries. The second thing is to change some of the full discoveries to bare minimum discoveries. And the third thing is to consolidate necessary discoveries into one single full discovery against the API server. With all the changes together, we were able to start the controller in just a few seconds in the same environment which reports the bug. So that's the thing I want to share with the community.
Thank you, June. Any questions for June? Okay. All right. Any other topics we'd like to discuss today on the call? All right. Okay, so that'll do it for today's edition of the KubeStellar community call. I'll go ahead and wrap this up, get this posted online. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining. Have a great weekend.
Bye.